I think we'll continue with the next Luis Arribas, who is also from CIEMAT, and he will give us a lesson learned from the small and wind turbine optimization and market penetration. Please go ahead, Luis.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. Well, it's not necessary to be named Luis to work in CIEMAT, but in this case is the case that both of us are Luis. So I will start sharing my screen. And I was about to share also in the chat the work done and the task 27 within the International Energy Agency in relation with small wind turbines in urban areas. But the project I'm presenting now has not much to do with that. It's the SWTOMP Project, which is a name difficult to pronounce, which stands for Small Wind Turbine Optimization and Market Promotion. And this is mainly the main objective is precisely the promotion, development, and implementation of the utilization of small and medium-sized wind turbines for isolated applications and for connections to weak grids. So you can see that this objective of the project is quite close to the focus of this conference. The project was approved at the end of 2016 and is about to end, or for some of the partners it has already ended. And I must start saying that during these hardly 5 years, the small wind turbine industry and the small wind turbine situation in the world has changed a lot. And this change has influenced also the development of this project, as you will see. So the project was approved under the umbrella of the ERANET-LAC. It's an ERANET-LAC project. This is an initiative for the cooperation between Europe and Latin American countries. And it has some peculiarities, as for example, that each partner has its own national funding and each partner has its own time schedule. That's why I said that it might sound a bit strange that some of the partners have already ended the project and some others have not. The total estimated cost was more than 1 million euros. Here is a list of the partners. CIEMAT is the coordinator. And there are 4 countries from Europe and 4 countries from South America. Apart from CIEMAT, it's INEL from Mexico, INTEC from the Dominican Republic, INTI from Argentina, and the University of the Republic, Universidad de la República from Uruguay. And the other European countries are partners are ITEC from Turkey, UTCN from Romania, and BTT from Finland. So you can see that all of the partners are public institutions, either public research centers or public universities. This is another interesting point because during the period of the project, many of the public institutions have, like us, for example, and others, we experienced some restrictions in the expenditure of the costs of the project. The project was divided into 5 working packages: the project management, the promotion of the market for small wind turbines, the wind resource for small wind turbines, the wind turbines optimization, and the standards for small wind turbines. So, as this is the last presentation, we will go through these working packages, but I'll try to make it short, not to make you get very tired. In the project management working package, well, apart from the organization of the whole project, we made a web which is that one. You are invited, of course, to visit it. And the annual and final reports have already been delivered. As officially the project has finished, the final report has been delivered already. The first working package, the promotion of the potential market, included 3 tasks: the analysis of the market, the preparation of workshops, and the preparation of material for education. The analysis of the market was divided into two main activities: the elaboration of a sample survey form. We first started reviewing what had been done before, and we found that the survey forms for the study of the market for small wind turbines had been oriented in different directions, from the deployment assessment, from the suitability assessment, practical aspects, social aspects, regulatory issues. We had to propose a survey form within the project, and we did not only propose one, but several sample survey forms, because 2 of the partners, INTI and INEL, had already worked on this activity, and they had already their own form. CIEMAT, together with the other partners, proposed the official SWTOMP form, which is quite simple. The second activity within this task is the results of this sample survey, and we also took a look at the results from previous surveys. And in relation to the results from the project countries, we can say that there are different levels of detail. For example, Mexico and Argentina carried out a quite detailed analysis of the market in those countries, whereas other countries like Finland, Spain, and the Dominican Republic, the detail was more general, and the other countries didn't even perform this study. There are also different levels of deployment, of the small wind turbines. For example, Uruguay is very low deployment, and Finland and Spain, we could say that's middle deployment. And in Argentina, we could say that it's relatively quite high. And the level of accomplishment of these studies is, well, most of them are already finished, and the Spanish one is about to be finished soon. The second task was the realization of workshops. In this sense, we have performed 3 international workshops. The first one in Mexico, second one in Soria in Spain, and the third one in Uruguay. Here you can find the links to where you can download the presentations that were used in those workshops. By the way, the REGEDIS, the second one, is a network for the development of small wind turbines in South American and Latin American countries. And hopefully tomorrow there will be a presentation on this network. The third task within the working package 1 is the preparation of material for education. There are quite a lot of material already done available, for example, through internet. And so we first prepared a guide to navigate through these existing resources. And now we are working on the elaboration of new educational material. There are different target audiences that could have been chosen. Finally, we decided to make it technically oriented. As the partners that are already working on the project that have not finished the project yet are Spanish speaking, we have started to prepare this material in Spanish, and we will see if afterwards we can translate it into English. The second working package deals with wind resource for small wind turbines and is divided in 2 main tasks. First, the comparison of the use of existing codes for the assessment of wind turbines with field measurement. And the second task is the description of a methodology for the easy assessment of the wind resource using the available information. So the first task was carried out in 2 sites. So in one site in Turkey and one site in Spain. And the results from the codes like WASP or WindPro was compared with the existing measurements. And also in Turkey, 4 technical visits were carried out to some wind turbine users. The conclusions, first, that the models are good, the results of the models are good enough, but not so much if there are obstacles around the small wind turbines, which is something which was also expected. Here is a link to a paper that was produced through this activity. And the problems that the users told during the visits were had to do with the site assessment because of the cost of the resource assessment and the accessibility, and the regulations and standards, because they said that they were changing all the time and they were not very helpful. And as usually the initial cost and unexpected lower production, which is the initial cost is something common for renewable energies. The second task was the elaboration of a methodology for the easy assessment of the local resource using available information. And this methodology has been deployed in a website, which is intended to be made public, but it's not yet because it's on a working process yet. And hopefully it will be public. So the third working package deals with optimization of small wind turbines and included initially 4 tasks: the selection of the turbines to be optimized, the redesign, the optimization redesign of the small wind turbines, the manufacture and installation of the prototypes, and the testing and certification. Unfortunately, due to different conditions that the project has suffered, this final task is not going to be implemented, and we have worked mainly on the first and second, and we are working on the third one at the moment. 2 models of small wind turbines were selected, one in Argentina and one in Mexico. This is the Argentinian case, which is the manufacturer Aerolocal, which starting from the Hupicot design that has been mentioned in this conference, they had already measured and certified a battery charging model, but they were interested in the grid-tied model. So the focus of the redesign in this case was to make it possible to connect the small wind turbine, the local small wind turbine, to the grid. For this purpose, they had identified the use of a PV grid inverter and standard PV grid inverter. And the PV grid inverter offers a good and cheap solution, technically robust in terms of connection to the grid. But the problem for the small wind turbine is that also imposes the input voltage range, which is a higher voltage. Small wind turbines, such a low power small wind turbines, usually work with much lower voltages. So a high voltage generator was designed in order to reach that high voltage output. And now we are working on the matching of the small wind turbine with a high voltage generator to the photovoltaic grid inverter. The second small wind turbine, the Mexican one, was the Arribas wind turbine. This is, well, we could say a standard small wind turbine, which the manufacturer was also interested in adapted to the Mexican conditions and also adapted to the grid connection. Here, the idea was to use a wind grid inverter. In that way, in that time, it was the Power One Aurora, which now is ABB. And the redesign in this case also affected the electrical generator with a new design, which included also a patent application and a vibration analysis study, which is under study. The blades redesign and the tower redesign are waiting, and maybe they are not able to enter in this project, hopefully for a future one. And we are at the moment working on the control system. Finally, the last working package deals with the standard for small wind turbines and includes the identification of standards improvement and the proposal for a modification. And as Mike Bergy was mentioning this morning, some proposal for modification of the standards for small wind turbines. This activity might be included, also continued under task 41 within the IEA, which, by the way, there is tomorrow a meeting on this. So, as a conclusion, the main expected results at the beginning were to link closer the interregional between R&D institutions, wind turbine manufacturers, policymakers, and end users, to increase awareness of small and medium scale wind turbines, and the development of new wind turbines designed specifically for some particular conditions, tropical and cool environments. We are ending the project. We have not completely finished, but we are ending the project. And if we take a look back and check how have we fulfilled these original objectives, I think we can say that we have quite achieved the first one, the close interregional links between the partners and also around the public within some of the participating countries. More or less, we've tried to increase awareness of small and medium scale wind turbines within our capabilities. But it's also true that during this period of the project, the small wind turbines conditions have changed and the small wind turbine industry has changed. And the increased awareness that we may have achieved, maybe that has also been counterpart by these conditions and evolution of the industry. And finally, the development of new wind turbines designed specifically for tropical and cool environments. Well, we are working still on it, but to be honest, we couldn't say that we have achieved it, mainly because the participating companies within the project have abandoned the activity on small wind turbines during the project. They are still working on photovoltaics, but not on small wind turbines anymore, at the moment at least. So we are working now in collaboration with them, but mainly on a voluntary basis. So that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Luis. Are there any questions for Luis? Arribas?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Martin, this is Galal Osman from Egypt. I missed to speak yesterday, and if there is a chance, I have about 5 or 10 minutes on wind energy education and the training in Africa and MENA. Thank you.
Yes. Just a
Sorry,
moment.
I'm not sure if I understood the question.
No. It is just a comment
Okay.
after your talk. And thanks for your call. And it is very good for the cooperation between Europe and Latin America. And this is the other dimension is also Europe and Africa, because Africa is also in the same weather conditions like South America. So it might be very helpful for both. We are in Africa very much more interested in wind turbine, but for different applications, not electricity, for desalination by RO systems and for water irrigations to bring food. but wind turbine, small wind turbine are very much, and the medium are very much important. And I ask you kindly if you can, with Morten, tell us about the seminars you held and the material which was produced by the European and South American staff, so that we can make use of it in Africa.
Sure, Professor Galal.